Mike, you had two? I think of the special one. Go! And thank you very much, me and Dark, for providing us with the commentary on today's opening.
I'm very pleased with our intro.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, shout out to Adam Block for putting that together.
Yes.
You guys are all listening to the Other Football airing exclusively on 89.1 FM, or if you so choose, you can hit us up at youtube.com/JLB Sports TV, where you can find a live simulcast of today's proceedings. Hi to our... we got no viewers right now, but
that'll grow. That'll grow.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
We'll get like 4 or 5 by the end of the broadcast. But Rohtas, we are here for one reason only every week. We weren't here last week because the American football national championship college thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool, right?
Yeah, but we could have got moved to Friday.
Oh, you gotta take that up with Ray, man. I'm not, hands off, shots fired right in here. Okay, dang, Rohtas.
Not a big deal though. Not a big deal.
No.
We still get enough.
No,
time.
but we enjoy the breather, and now we have 2 weeks of content to digest. So Rohtas, you want to start it off? What has been happening in the past 2 weeks?
This was a big weekend. This time of year when the schedule has the wraparound, now teams are starting to see each other twice.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get to almost fix your mistakes from the last matchup, try and come out with a different mindset tactically.
Right, and we can't forget the home and away difference makes such a difference
Absolutely.
in the Premiership. I believe on Soccernomics they ran through all these troves of data, and they kind of figured out that if you're the home team, you're being given half a goal. Mm-hmm. So it's up to home teams to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's seriously incredible weekend of football, and Sunday was really what could be a turning point for Arsenal, the Gunners.
Really? Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's talk about this right now. Let's talk about this.
Because
Because I've been drinking Arsenal Kool-Aid on this show in front of other Arsenal fans who've sat right there, namely Julian Patterson and Rodrigo Salazar.
And they sat in this chair.
Arsenal fans, they did. Yes.
And said Arsene Wenger should be gone.
They want him out. They don't think that this team is built for top 4. They think that it's a one-man team, and Sanchez, and all of these things may in fact be true by season's end. But I've been a little more partial to Arsenal than I feel like other Arsenal fans. They get injured every single year, but I keep banging this drum every single week. When you have a player like Alexis Sanchez, and although maybe he and Aguero both weren't really at their electric best on Sunday, that was kind of a disappointing matchup that we didn't really see pop off. But when you have a player like Sanchez, he's going to be able to will you to the top 4 should he stay healthy.
Yeah, it's just so funny how things can change on the drop of a hat. All it takes is one win. All it takes is one result.
Right.
To gain some momentum. And
okay, so what happened in this result then? Because it was Arsenal traveling to the Etihad, where historically City just they don't lose. They don't lose at the Etihad anymore.
Yeah.
They've had some rough, patches here and there this season. Do you think they're vulnerable at the Etihad now? Do you think Arsenal were just taking advantage of the trend?
I don't think so, because when you take a look at Arsenal over their last 12 road games against the top 4, just one win, one tie, and 10 losses.
I forgot. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, didn't we? Or a little bit ago, I feel like. Arsenal's dismal record.
Exactly. And you're talking about that's not good enough against the top 4. One win. That's just...
that's been a talking point throughout the season, and I brought this up a few weeks ago when I talked to Mikel Arteta and Matthew Flamini over the summer, Arsenal's midfielders. They flat out told me, the difference between us and winning the title last year was getting destroyed by Liverpool and getting destroyed by City late on in the season. Mm-hmm. I think they both had to travel for those matches as well. So they really made a concerted effort, I feel like, within the squad over the summer and just in their weekly meetings to really emphasize the fact that we need to go out and beat the best if we truly want to be the best. I feel like most matches against top 6 sides are a crapshoot. Can you just repeat that record? 1 win, 1 draw, and 10 losses. Yeah, when you lose 10 out of your 12 games against actually good opponents, that doesn't bode well for how you're looking.
Exactly.
So this is a huge confidence boost for them, I guess. City, as impenetrable as they've been at home, Arsenal, as weak as they've looked on the road and against good opponents, this was a shocking result.
It absolutely
We really can't understate that.
You really can't, because Arsene Wenger has been known to be so stubborn in every single form. Mm-hmm. And people were wondering, how is he going to change things up tactically?
Right.
But I think the guy that was the star of the show was the youngster Francis Coquelin, who played the game of his life, really. It seemed like it was a breath of fresh air into the side, the guy that was going to communicate and kind of be the ball winner at the back to cover those center backs. He was all over the field, a man possessed, running around, disrupting every single chance that City was able to put forward. And it really could be a coming out party for this kid, because
this could be the kind of player that Arsenal have been missing. They've been looking for the longest time. I mean, I guess he's 23 years old. He's really just next up. And like him come through. I'm sure Arsenal fans will be whispering Patrick Vieira before you know it.
Exactly.
Because simply put, since Vieira, Arsenal haven't had a ball-dominant midfield like that. A player who can just go sideline to sideline, pitch to pitch, and just win balls and distribute it evenly and have a nice touch. Those are difficult qualities to find, and Arsenal really needed that pivot man. So I guess you think he's the guy, don't you?
I mean, he absolutely could be, and it's tough to say after one game.
Right.
But again, this is the first time that Arsenal have defended so effectively.
Right.
To keep a clean sheet, let alone get a win, go into Etihad and get a win, but to keep a clean sheet against them, it's a shocker.
Oh, for sure.
An absolute shocker. And I mean, this could be a turning point. I feel like we live in a world where we love to overreact and jump immediately.
Of course.
And I don't
what do you think social media is for?
Exactly. So I don't want to, jump to any super conclusions about them.
Oh, not just any conclusions, guys. Super conclusions.
Super unbelievable, bold conclusions. Before we go there, I mean, this is still just an important win for them. Hopefully they can build from this. Because, again, you mentioned Aguero versus Sanchez was the major matchup, and that kind of just failed to live up to the hype. Arsenal's defense did a phenomenal job denying Aguero touches. Within the first half an hour of the game, he couldn't get into the flow of the game.
And more to your point about Coquelin, Manchester City had 65% of possession the entire match. That's a huge amount. They were just chilling basically in Arsenal's half. And he was still out there winning balls, running, disrupting passing lanes. A big takeaway from the City match today. I shouldn't say today, but yesterday was the astonishing lack of running in City's midfield. I mean, you players like Fernandinho out there. Those are two guys you feel like are bullets. You're going to run their socks off for 90 minutes, and the sort of industry hasn't been there for City. I don't know. Maybe they're hitting a lull at this point.
Right, Coquelin was game, and let me know if you think this had any sort of impact. But this is again time of year when the African Cup of Nations rolls around, and they don't have Yaya Toure. Do you think they missed him that much? Because again, we've been critical of him, and he's still an important part, clearly.
Right.
And they missed him.
I mean, for as much as Yaya Toure's been sluggish this year, he's still Yaya Toure.
And it's also Manchester City. Like, we expect them to fill in his role well enough to be able to do well.
Right, and the surprising thing is to see Yaya Toure, a guy who's been slow and sluggish all season, he still has all the wonderful attributes that make him an elite player technically, but his legs haven't been there. And then you throw in Fernando or Fernandinho, guys who you think, they're going to give you coverage in the midfield. So it's just really disappointing to see that on the City side. And if you look at their schedule and what they've done in the past too, like I said earlier, this might be a lull in City. They have a tough loss against Arsenal last week. They drew Everton, a match which you feel like, again, they should have won. The week after that, they barely beat Sunderland 3-2. And then the week before that, they drew Burnley at home 2-2. What's going on with City?
That's been a pretty interesting slump right there.
Granted.
Company's finally come back into the lineup. He played a full game this time finally. So it'll be interesting to see. They still got issues at that center back position.
I mean, 5 points
go and get one.
5 points from the last 12 games.
Again, they spent a lot of money on Mangala, and they have Di Michaelis, but they still need that center back. And I don't think it's going to be Rafael Varane. I don't think it's going to be another.
It's probably not. I mean,
of Bilbao. So
you're right. After Company, they're really not looking too good on the defensive end.
It's really
it's becoming a problem.
We love their fullbacks. It's just that second center back that they're missing to kind of shore things up. And the window is here.
Ask Liverpool and Arsenal, about having an assured second center back.
It is so difficult.
You can go out and spend tens of millions of pounds and still not find one for whatever reason. they're hard to
Yeah,
really
and
really
United
rock
as
solid
well.
ones are hard to find. And when you get one that one center back who will take you for the entire decade, that company, that John Terry,
Yeah,
type
United
figure.
had two. We had Ferdinand and Vidic.
Yeah, you guys are cute with that. You
Yeah.
won a few titles.
That was.
But I feel like, and really, I'm at a loss for words with City also because they spent 30 million pounds on Boney.
Yes, we gotta get to that.
And we didn't get to
player
this
that's
because
away
we
on
were
international
off the
duty.
air.
Yeah.
But 30 million pounds were spent on Boney.
So was that $15 million about, right?
$20 million.
Yeah, 20 million.
So they spent, that's a boatload of money on Boney, in my opinion, considering, I mean, 6 months ago in the summer transfer window, he was valued, I think he was queued at about 20 million pounds, and Liverpool were in for him, and they were willing to reportedly meet that 20 million pound ask, but his agent just wanted too much money in terms of wages.
Because
lo and behold, Boney a few months later.
Because he's the type of player that when you watch him and you see him produce,
yeah,
he's just an interesting talent to look at because he's so big and so strong. And only entering his prime, that's the only way I can see that. I mean, that number being so high, and of course, City having the money to just outpay and outbid everyone else.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think Boney wanted like 110,000 pounds a week in wages.
He wants to win the Champions League too. Boney wants the world now.
Yeah, Boney wants the contract, the world, and everything. And all the credit to him. Dude's 26 years old. He was plucked out of what God knows where. Vienna, was it a few years ago?
Yeah, he's come from.
He was plucked out of nowhere in Europe,
and now he's Ivory Coast basically best striker now, one of their best strikers.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. He's kind of taking over the mantle from Drogba, isn't he?
Yes,
the next Ivory Coast bull.
Exactly.
Oof.
He probably won't be. He's not the savior.
All right,
Drogba. He's not the savior, but.
He's not the same. I mean, he might literally not stop his country from a war, as Drogba has mythically done.
Exactly.
But with Wilfred Boney signing to City now, that's a striker that they brought in. Why is Frank Lampard still in Manchester?
I know, right?
Are you kidding me? They went out and spent 30 million pounds on a striker. They can't send Frank Lampard on his way back to the United States.
Well, come on, man. That's the other funny thing, though. Lampard came out and said that what agreement? I would never had an official agreement to go to NYCFC.
Well, yeah,
and then
technically no contract was ever signed.
Yeah,
both City and NYCFC might have fudged the info a bit.
Yeah, and then literally the next day, the agreement happens that he's going to be there till the end of the season. And come on, they need him for the rest of the season.
They just spent 30 million pounds on a striker.
But
what do they need Frank Lampard?
But this is going forward. I mean, what Lampard has done
obviously
off the bench,
what he's done is great. But
because on days when Boney fails and doesn't come through, you bring Lampard in to save the day.
How many strikers does City have now?
Well, now 4.
Name them all.
Jovetic, Dzeko, Aguero,
and Boney. And are they all healthy?
Jovetic is back healthy.
Yeah,
and now Aguero's back healthy.
See?
Dzeko's still going to come back. So it's like, is Boney even going to see the field?
Exactly.
Man?
So going in after the January transfer window, City is going to have 4 strikers, and you're telling me they can't let the box-to-box midfielder who plays 10 minutes a match and just sneaks in and maybe scores a goal, maybe doesn't.
He's there for, but that's the thing. Maybe hasn't been the case.
That's exactly what he's there for, but they have Wilfred Boney to provide the goals too.
But that's the thing. His goal-scoring record is too good right now. It'd be silly.
God.
It'd be silly. Come on, he's scoring at an absurd rate. He just comes onto the field, jogs on, stands in the right spot. They do have options now. They do have options.
I mean, I guess in any case, with Yaya Toure out now, it's more of a reason for them to want to keep on to midfielder. And Pellegrini's kind of got to sort out what his best lineup he thinks is
exactly.
I mean, Sergi's back. The fact that Aguero is back. A few weeks ago, I buried Manchester City because we were working under the news at the time that Sergio Aguero was going to miss the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
Oops, never mind. Turns out Aguero is back already.
I know, right? This is awfully soon.
Right.
I was like, what happened?
Right. So that's another title-changing, title-shifting kind of player coming back. Because when Sergio Aguero is on his game and when he's out there, I think week to week, he's the best player in the EPL by far.
Absolutely.
By far.
We get to witness now kind of like a race at the top between Diego Costa and Aguero as to who's going to score more goals. Because Diego Costa should have had another hat trick this weekend.
Watch out for Sanchez too, man. I mean,
Sanchez is creeping up there. Charlie Austin is in third. With 13 goals. Well, I mean, because we do have Queen's Park Rangers and their manager.
That's true. All right, let's get into the segment then.
has Harry Redknapp been fired yet? The man that has never been fired.
Yeah,
before.
famously never been fired, Harry Redknapp. He looks like he's still on the verge of being sacked.
It's not looking good.
He lost again this. I mean, you guys won.
It was a decent win. It was a decent win. The fact that it was 1-0 up until the very end.
It was at home too at Old Trafford.
No, it was at Loftus, which makes it even more critical.
Jeez,
because
okay.
we talked about QPR's road record: 10 losses, all 10 losses on the road, not even a draw.
When was the last time they haven't won on the road at all this season?
Not once. So that they had to capitalize. They had to at least get a point from this game. They failed to do so. Falcao
their
looked
home
sharp.
form is the only thing that's going to keep them up at this point.
Absolutely. There was so much talk midweek about why didn't Falcao start in the last matchup. Why did James Wilson get the start? People were giving Van Gaal all this.
Well, and you know why? Because Falcao's come on for this ridiculous fee. What was it? 40 million.
But he played five. He was on the roster like 5 games in a row. We wanted to give him some rest.
I mean, I think
Rob Green.
At this point, you guys still really don't know what you have with Falcao. So when the fans see that he's not playing match in and match out, and he's healthy after being out for such a period of time,
that's a good point.
I mean, you guys need to see some production out of him.
He still looks sharp, and Rob Green probably robbed him of a couple goals today. Overall, though, for QPR,
I don't know. I'm actually looking at the schedule now, and I don't know when they're going to win next.
Right?
I mean, because if you are looking at their schedule, okay, next they have Stoke City. They're away to that match, so they're obviously going
that's an automatic loss.
Yeah, automatic loss. Like, no question about it. Then the next week they have to travel. Oh no, Southampton. I'm sorry, comes to their town.
Oh,
Southampton's going to win that, right?
Most likely,
because Southampton's a good team. Then next up, they travel to Sunderland, so that's going to be a disaster, right? Nobody wants to travel to.
Well, that's the thing. Sunderland only has 3 wins this year, so that's going to be a must-win for them as well. Sunderland has 3 wins and 11 draws. They've tied 11 times.
Yeah, I don't like
that. Must be torture for Sunderland
fans. That's going to be the toilet bowl. Actually, let's circle this fixture.
February
10th. Sunderland at the Stadium of Light against QPR, the toilet match, and the team who can't win at home and the team who can't win on the road. Let's see.
That'll be perfect.
Hopefully, Redknapp is still
going
managing
to
by
give.
that point.
Yeah, hopefully. What is going to give? But
I'm excited for the toilet bowl now.
We talked about.
I don't have a Super Bowl to look forward to anymore.
Right.
So I got the toilet bowl on February 10th. Let's go.
Ridiculous game. But we mentioned center back pairings and how important they are. And credit to Redknapp, he did his best for what. I mean, QPR they should have spent more, because you bring in Rio Ferdinand to be one of your center backs. Isn't even playing every game. The guy's done. The guy is done. Why is he still playing? It is a shame.
You know how I know Rio Ferdinand's done? Because he has a clothing line out.
He's 5. Line. Like, what is that?
He's an Instagram streetwear line. Like, that's how you know. That's how you know footballers watch when he's already moved on to streetwear.
Like, people already respect him as an analyst for his Twitter account. Just go into the field.
Yeah, stop with the streetwear. Stop with the streetwear. Rio Ferdinand. Just stop. So you had Rio, and then I thought it should have been a good move. Stephen Cocker is a decent center back prospect. He showed to be he was Cardiff City's captain last season. Mm-hmm. Okay, they got relegated. That doesn't help my argument at all. But he's still, being at the age that he was, still a big, strong defender. He's still a Premiership level defender.
Yeah, going into the season, people thought that could be a potentially nice match at the center back spot, but overall, it's just so sad. He has to play like Armand Traore, the former Arsenal guy that just hasn't played well in the Premier League since he's been in the Premier League.
Ferdinand's got to go home, man. I mean, he's the leader of the defense that's allowed the most goals in the Premiership. Mm-hmm. QPR sitting in 19th out of 20th.
It seems like they're doomed. Leicester seem doomed as well.
Burnley. Yeah, wait, hold on. Can we just look at this bottom three right now? Hull City, QPR, Leicester. Do you think any of those 3 are getting up?
Hull still has time. They have 16 games left. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to turn around, but I like Burnley a lot. Burnley continues to show fight. They blew a 2-0 lead to Palace. Yeah. But they keep looking good. They've got a great group of attacking players.
Yeah, I mean,
we work hard.
We've talked about Burnley, how hard they're working. Hopefully, the effort and the sort of steam spent on this pitch pays off in the long run.
Exactly, because they keep scoring goals at a good rate. And if you can do that, like just at Norwich City last year, how bad it was when they could score goals. That was the reason they got relegated.
Yeah, Norwich City last year just could not score.
Exactly, and Burnley's going out and scoring, which is good for them. Yeah. And I think they do have an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's up next, Rohtas? Enough talking about these crappy teams.
I know, right? We just got to give them some love. We got to give them some
love. We got to, I mean, on
we ain't about the big four. We ain't just about the big four. You know that.
I mean, on the other football, we love to give, top to bottom on the table. We're there.
Exactly.
We'll look you up and down. I'm there for you, EPL
West
table.
Brom. Tony Pulis. That's a good hire.
What do you
them?
Oh, West Brom. You want to move on to West Brom?
No, I was just going to mention that really quickly. It's a good hire for them because they've had some terrible managers.
And they did take points from Everton today at Goodison Park, right?
Very good point.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was. Let's get into talk about that game a little bit because I thought it was kind of hilarious. Rohtas, what happened before the stroke of halftime?
Oh, right. So, penalty happens. Julian Lescott gets a pretty silly handball. It's pretty obvious. Leighton Baines, who is 15 of 16 from the penalty spot, is going to take it, but Kevin Morales pushes him aside and says, I got this, and I'm going to bury it. And he was fully confident. Leighton Baines even, tapped him on the head a couple times, was in his ear, make sure you make this. Or, no, and then Irish, make sure you make this. No, he's British. Make sure you make this. And sure enough, it was a short run-up from Morales.
Yeah.
And he hit the outside of the post. Wasn't even close.
And he got benched after the half, right?
Brian Oviedo came on, the
joke.
Costa Rican, instantly. And you could see the look on Martinez's face. He was just like,
West Brom
why is this happening?
They were active with their defense today, and the chips weren't falling for Everton again. Rohtas, we talked about this on the walk here. Is it time to bin Everton? Because I'm looking at
it's looking like it.
I'm looking at the forum guide now. They're dead last. They've taken 2 points from their last 6 matches. The last time they won was QPR at home. So we just talked about this. Beating QPR in your own ground doesn't even count as a win at this point.
Now this is the thing.
Because they've lost all their games.
I hate to go here, but remember when, and this shouldn't be happening because this is a much higher level club at Everton.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were this close to making Champions League last year.
But we saw time after time Roberto Martinez, when he was with Wigan for about 4 or 5 years in a row, they were terrible the entire year. And then the last month of the season...
Nobody talks about that.
The last month of the season, every single year, he would find a way to keep them up. And then one year, they win the FA Cup.
Okay, but...
And that's how he's here.
See,
that's how he's in the position that he is in right now.
That's fantastic, but the thing is, Roberto Martinez isn't managing in Wigan anymore. He's managing
Everton,
exactly. A team that
problem.
Had expectations of finishing somewhere around the Europa League.
Exactly.
Anywhere from places. I mean, 4 was a pipe dream for them. If they'd finished 7th, that would have been 6th or 7th. That's where they're around. They
with
should
the money,
be,
with the money that you spent in Lukaku and with the expectations that they've put on Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman.
They haven't won a game since QPR at home.
That's so long.
That doesn't count.
That is incredible how long that is.
So, but
he's having trouble right now, and I know
what's going on is because I feel like a few months ago, I feel like 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, Liverpool and Everton were in similar situations.
Mm-hmm.
Both clubs who had high hopes for the following season after coming off a good campaign last year, but and they gotten off to some rough starts. But Brendan Rodgers is back against the wall, and the wolves coming for him, and the pitchforks out already. He adapted. He just changed his formation. He's like, screw it, we're gonna go 3-4-3. We're gonna start playing, the great triangle passing football that we like to play at Liverpool, and we're gonna attack again. Mm-hmm. And it's worked. Liverpool are now sitting second in the form table.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everton have trended in the opposite direction since. I mean, we talked, I feel like 2 months ago when we had Trend Watch, Everton was one of the teams that we were looking to really, really rise up. And instead they've just fallen off since then.
Right, and that might be one of the biggest issues. Roberto Martinez and his, unwillingness to make different changes, try and switch up the formation.
He'd be the perfect manager for Arsenal next.
Oh, absolutely.
He's
so stubborn in his ways, and
a stubborn quote unquote maverick with another.
And we mentioned the signing of Gareth Barry, but that's the only guy that they have as a holding midfielder on that team. That raises the question, how much do they miss Marouane Fellaini right about now? Because he is that perfect player for them. He was kind of the guy
they didn't miss him last season at all.
They didn't, but you can see it now. All of their attacking-minded midfielders they can't. Barkley, Oviedo, Besic, all guys that can play on the ball, can dribble, can be all fancy and flashy, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty and you need a ball winner, Gareth Barry can't do it all. He's the most booked player ever in the history of the Premier League. That's a lot of fouls committed in the midfield. He's got a lot of covering.
He knows how to make a professional foul.
He does.
He does.
But he's got to cover a lot for those center backs. Because
you're right. And the center backs are crap too.
Because we repeat it, because Coleman and Baines have the green light to go forward at all times, and they haven't produced either. So there's just a multitude of issues for the Toffees, and they're gonna have to. I mean, they'll win games late in the season. They'll win a couple of games. You
think Roberto will? I mean, I feel like he has to at this point. I mean, how much
longer
like
is project? This seems like
how much longer is this going to go on? I mean, we've been looking at the form guide with these guys for months now, and you feel like, okay, when is the light going to turn on? When's Roberto going to inspire them? When is he going to change something?
Exactly.
It's not coming, and it hasn't come yet. So we'll see. I still want to have faith in Roberto because before this terrible season, I was a huge fan of his.
We both are. We love the man.
I love him on ESPN.
We can't jump off. We cannot jump off the bandwagon now. We have to stick with this. We got to ride it out.
So we're not ready to bin Everton?
No, well, I mean, in terms of this season, they're not finishing up.
So we can take them to the Glue Factory then, the incinerator, all that.
Yeah, no, this season is a lost cause. They'll win. They'll finish in the top half.
All right. Hopefully. Well, hopefully Roberto hangs on to his job by the end of the season. They can pull out a top half performance. We'll see. But this is another team, Everton, that I'm really interested to watch in the second half, just because they're so crap now, and it's like, well, they can only go up, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, since we have 2 weeks and we've got some cup matches in between, we might as well get that at time. I know there's a big game coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. For Added Time this week, we have Liverpool versus Chelsea tomorrow, Capital One Cup.
First leg of the semifinals.
First leg of the semifinals. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. This is going to be good. Because Brendan Rodgers desperately needs a trophy this year. I feel like with the way things have gone, top four, again, it's iffy either way. And if Brendan can really scrum up a trophy and maybe make a good FA Cup run towards the end of the season, the season will be redeemed. If he finishes top 5, top 6, but he has a trophy to show for it, and they had a good performance in the second half. So all this matters. Brendan Rodgers wants to win this trophy. Meanwhile, on the opposite, his rival, his former master, Jose Mourinho, I don't think he gives a crap about the Capital One Cup. I really don't think he does.
Unless they're going for the quadruple. Are they?
Yeah. Are they gonna do a domestic treble? Do you think they'll do it?
Well, and the Champions League, so they're going for all 4, man. I mean, that's on his mind.
You think so? You think so? You really think so? That
all 4, absolutely, they're fully capable.
We'll see. We'll see if Diego Costa comes out tomorrow and starts. That'll be a big thing. Mm-hmm. Either way, I do really expect Liverpool to go all in. It's going to be a great match. I'm really excited.
I'm excited as well.
Oh yeah. Was it 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Let's go. Okay. So, Rohtas, does Ron have anything for us this week?
Of course he does. It's a very, very big signing for the MLS. An absolute shocker to me, really. Sebastian Giovinco, at one time, when he was 23, 22 years old, only about 4 or 5 years ago, he was considered to be one of the better Italian attacking prospects in world football. And all of a sudden, at age 27, after not really having things work out too well for him at Juventus, the Italian champions, he's moving to Toronto FC. He's coming to the MLS. Can you believe that?
Didn't Toronto FC just get Jermaine Defoe last year? Oh, he's back now.
They got Josie.
And they got why is MLS fixing the game for Toronto FC?
I can't believe that this has happened. $7 million a year he's going to get paid. This is the first time we've ever seen a player come over in his prime that's this talented. This could be a game-changing signing for the MLS, and hopefully more players do the same, because he's a talented player and he might just be a dominant force in the MLS.
Over under 25 goals for him next season.
I'll say 22.
Oh, okay, conservative now today, Ron. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Rohtas, for tuning into the Other Football on 89.1 FM. Next up, we have Passport.